Why do economic schools debate managing economic expansions? Imagine a busy highway where cars are moving faster and faster. Some drivers want to slow down to prevent accidents, while others want to keep speeding up for fun. This is similar to how economists see managing economic expansions. These periods when the economy grows quickly are full of opportunities but also risks. So why do different economic schools argue so much about how to handle these times? An economic expansion is when a country's output, employment, and income go up after a slowdown or recession. This phase can last months or even years, and it often brings higher jobs and more goods and services. But it also can cause problems like rising prices, known as inflation, or bubbles in markets like real estate or stocks. If these bubbles burst, they can lead to a sharp downturn. That's why policymakers need to decide whether to step in and slow things down or let the market run its course. Different schools of thought have different ideas about this. Keynesian economics believes that active government policies are needed to keep the economy stable. They argue that during an expansion, governments should use tools like changing taxes or adjusting interest rates to prevent the economy from overheating. They see government intervention as a way to keep growth steady and avoid sudden crashes. On the other hand, monetarists and new classical economists think markets are pretty good at fixing themselves. They believe that trying to manage expansions can cause more harm than good. They prefer rules-based policies, like setting interest rates in advance, rather than constantly changing them based on current conditions. They think the economy is naturally self-correcting over time, so heavy management isn't necessary. Austrians take a different stance. They believe that expansions happen naturally through market forces like investment and saving. They warn that artificial stimulation, like low interest rates or easy credit, can lead to bad investments called malinvestments. These often cause the economy to overheat and eventually crash. They argue that government should stay out of the way and let markets adjust on their own. New Keynesian economists blend some ideas from both sides. They recognize that markets are efficient but also have frictions that can cause bubbles or inflation. They support some cautious intervention to prevent these issues but warn against overdoing it. The debate also involves practical challenges. It's hard to tell exactly when an expansion is happening or about to turn into a slowdown. Policy effects take time to show, and political pressures can influence decisions. If policymakers act too late or too early, they risk slowing growth too much or letting inflation get out of control. In the end, managing an expansion is a balancing act. Governments and central banks use tools like interest rate changes, taxes, and regulations to try to keep growth steady. The goal is to avoid the boom and bust cycles that can damage the economy. So, why do economic schools argue so much about managing expansions? Because they see different risks and benefits in how much intervention is needed. They have different ideas about how markets work and how best to keep the economy healthy over the long run. This ongoing debate helps shape the policies that influence our everyday lives during times of growth.